Hello, Cascade Writers attendees for the 2024 three-day summer workshop. And hello to all of you who might be out there considering joining Cascade Writers in the years to come. Today, we're doing another one of our pro interviews so you can see the kind of people who come to our workshop and help us improve our craft and knowledge of the writing industry. Today, we're honored to welcome Kat Rambo, who is an accomplished author, educator, and editor. Kat, hello. Thank you for being
Hello.
here today.
It's so nice to be here.
Yeah, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. We're in the middle of a heat wave right now, but luckily I have air conditioning, so I'm just trying not to go outside into the brutal sun.
Yeah, avoiding the sun. That's definitely makes it beneficial to live in the Pacific Northwest,
Yeah,
which you still do live in the PNW with us, don't you?
I do not actually.
Oh,
Couple years ago, I moved to South Bend, Indiana, which was where I grew up, and it's
okay.
been a big pleasure reconnecting with family and a lot of friends. And I'm playing in a D&D game with people that I used to play with in high school and their grown children, which is truly surreal. So,
Awesome. What kind of character are you playing in your campaign?
my character is a fawn druid. She is a
Oh,
Fours druid.
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm enjoying it. It's a good time, and it's nice to get your role play on. I play in a couple of different games, so yeah.
Nice. Well, aside from playing role-playing games and continuing to embrace your inner geek, your inner nerd, all the way into adulthood, which we can all appreciate, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, what you write, and what your
Okay.
journey has looked like as an author throughout your life?
Absolutely. I write fantasy and science fiction. I have 5 novels now, about to be 6, and I've had about 300 short stories published.
Mhm.
As I said, fantasy and science fiction. I actually started in literary fiction and got a master's in writing from John Barth, from the Writing Top seminars at Johns Hopkins, where I studied with John Barth, which was really super cool. Um, in 2005, I had been working for Microsoft, and I decided I wanted to get serious about actually writing, and had my spouse at the time was willing to take on the mortgage. And so I went off to Clarion West, where I was lucky enough to study with Octavia Butler and
Mm.
Johnny Willis, among others. And I kept writing after Clarion West. I was president of SFWA for a couple of terms. I'm just have the third of a 3-book deal with Tor Macmillan coming out in September. Very exciting. And I won a Nebula Award for my novelette, Carpe Glitter.
Awesome. That is yeah, definitely an impressive list of accomplishments. We're so excited to learn from you at this year's workshop. And something I'd like to know a little bit more about. Can you tell us about what it was like to work with SFWA and be the president of SFWA?
Oh yeah, it was actually. I'm really proud of my work that I did with SIFWA, because I oversaw the coming of independently published writers into the organization, which
Mm,
was a real struggle.
mm,
Um, but was just so wonderful that once they came in, then they were bringing in all their energy and their professionalism, and it was amazing. Um, During my regime, the SIFWA mentoring program also came into existence, but I cannot claim to any of the work. I just sort of approved things and made some suggestions, and I think that is one of the best things SIFWA does. I'm just finishing up with my SIFWA mentee this month, and it's such a pleasure to participate in that program. Um, so yeah, I oversaw actually it reincorporating in from God, I want to say Massachusetts, and reincorporating in California and becoming a more public-facing 401. I don't remember if it's 401 or 501c. I've lost all track of that. It was very important at one point. So
hmm
But SFWA does a lot of great work for new writers and existing writers. Recently, it helped Peter S. Beagle. I'm talking about a beloved name in science fiction. Peter was having legal trouble with a former associate, and SFWA helped fund those fees. So,
Wow.
some good stuff.
Yeah, there's plenty of things that it's awesome when you have a group, a community that can help you look out for things like that. That's part of why I like being part of the HWA for similar reasons.
Yeah, absolutely. A very similar organization and just as robust, I think. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And it sounds like mentorship and helping newer writers or indie writers, maybe that have a little less establishment, but obviously are really talented and professional level writers, get one of those footholds and get into the industry and find their own path into this writing life and making it work. That's become such a big part of your mission as a creator. At least that's what I see from the outside looking in. Can you speak to that a little bit and where that came from and maybe where you saw that transition happen?
Well, I think it's always been, community has always been important to me, and particularly coming out of a background in feminism and teaching women's studies and learning a lot kind of through that lens, as well as race studies. And also because fantasy and science fiction has always had a tradition of paying things forward. It's always been one of the kindest. I came out of literary fiction. Literary fiction is not kind. Fantasy and science fiction is just, I think, one of and the horror group as well. I mean, we try to take care of our members. I cannot say how many GoFundMes I see coming out of people trying to take care of the community. And that is what SFWA was about kind of creating things that sort of tools for the community, resources for the community. As to why it's so important to me, I don't know. I love teaching. I recently reconnected with the Unitarian Universalist Church, which I had grown up as a member, but had sort of fallen away from until like the last 6 months or so. And it reminded me that the world is pretty shitty right now. And we need people who are helping make it less shitty. And so I kind of feel like it's my duty as a human being to try and make the world a little less shitty.
Well, I'm glad you're out there on the front lines shoveling that away for us, because it definitely is important. And yeah, people have to be doing that work because, like you said, these communities, especially the genre writing communities, they're all really welcome and open. And that's because if we don't watch out for each other, then, nobody will.
Nobody will. Nobody will. Yeah.
So it is really important. And I really appreciate that you're out there doing that, Kat. Thank you. And shifting a little bit towards doing that in an active sense in just a couple of weeks at Cascade Writers with us, what are you most looking forward to with the conference, and what's like a unique maybe skill set or perspective that you bring as a critique group leader?
Oh, absolutely. So I think this is my third time at Cascade. It's either my third or fourth, and I'm super stoked. Just because I think Cascade has a really lovely energy to it that comes from the mix of genres. And that's one of the things that I always love about the workshop, is that it's kind of people each bring a different perspective. So I'm really looking forward to seeing that in action and seeing a lot of old friends and making new ones. And what I bring as a workshop leader is one, I think I bring a pretty robust sense of humor. And I think I couple that with a tremendous respect for the student. So I'm never mean. And I'm just so appreciative that people are willing to show me their work. And my desire is to help them make it better.
Excellent. And what are some of the key methods that you find as a critique group leader, and maybe for the other people in your critique group to keep in mind? What are some of the key methods to providing a good critique in your estimation?
I think one of the really important things to remember is that it is so useful to the writer to tell them what they're doing right.
Mm-hmm.
And what are the things that they really need to amp up? Like, like, I love your naming system. Can we have even more of that?
Right.
Where do you want them to really kind of turn the knob to 11? So I think that's a biggie. I think one of the things that I think is important to remember is what does the writer want from your critique? They want to know where every misplaced comma is. They want to know, like, where's the world skimpy? Where are they kind of, what are the big ticket items that they need to fix?
Mm-hmm.
That's super important as well.
I have that inspires a question in me. So how do you, as a critiquer, say when you get a story? Now it's one thing if they like provide you with some questions they're specifically looking for, but how do you sort of discern what those big ticket items that somebody might need to fix are when you're reading a new story, and how do you compare that with what you think the person might need?
Well, I actually, when I'm doing a workshop in my own academy and stuff, when we workshop, it starts with the author making a statement and saying,
Okay.
here are the things that I'm trying to do in the story. Here are the big questions that I have. And I think I probably will try to do that with my workshop as well, because I think it's super useful.
Mm-hmm.
And this is because there was recently, and like 2 years ago, there was an article about workshops and the Milford workshop, and how uncomfortable it can be for, say, a writer of color to have a primarily white workshop kind of focusing on a particular detail that's very superfluous.
Mm-hmm.
The example that they used was an Iowa writers workshop where there was a for writer where the story focused on the story had the family going for dim sum, and it got into a big discussion of what was dim sum, and would readers know what dim sum was? And it was just, so I think it is important to find out what the writer wants, because I mean, why give them feedback unless you want it to be as useful as possible?
Yeah, yeah, I definitely agree with that. My developmental editing teacher kind of emphasizes the same thing you do, and I really appreciate that. That critiquing is a lot less about, like, I think a lot of people think of like, oh, trimming the fat or cutting
Right,
out the bad,
right.
but my teacher always refers to it as finding story seeds and then just trimming the weeds so they can grow. You're more like trying to expose the good
Right.
by taking out things here and there, but like it's more important to shine a light on those good things in a
Oh,
lot of cases, I
absolutely.
believe.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, and then one more question I had for you before we get maybe a book recommendation or two if you
Okay.
have one. But what would be the best advice you could give to a beginning writer and then maybe a writer that's a little further on in their career, and how do those advices kind of
Okay.
differ and evolve?
Well, so for the first one, it would just be sort of butt in chair trumps everything.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, I had a motto for my writing school, which was writers just expletive write. And um, I think that's it. I think there's often, when you want to be a writer, you do a lot of thinking about the sort of appurtenances of writing, and what will your business card look like, and what will you say to your agent? And that's certainly very pleasurable daydreaming, but it's not going to do you any good unless you're actually producing words.
Mm-hmm. Very much so. And then how about for somebody who may be a little further along?
I would say, remember, it is a very small world, and that the
Mm-hmm.
person who is a slush reader 1 year may well be an editor 2 years down the line, or even 2 months down the line. And so just be a decent human being and treat other people the way that you would want them to treat you, because if you are known to be pleasant to work with, that goes very far in our industry.
Excellent advice. I think that's my favorite advice, actually.
Awesome.
Um, and definitely something to keep in mind, especially as you gear up to attend a workshop.
Yeah.
Yeah, just be a genuine member of the community, right?
Yeah.
It's always
Yeah.
always a good move. Um, and then final couple questions here, Kat. Thanks again for being with us today and giving us your time. Do you have a recommended couple of books, whether they be on craft or whether they be in your preferred genres, that are like must reads for writers to
Oh
improve
yeah.
their craft?
Actually, right now in my writing school, we're just finishing up. We have this craft book discussion where we do a chapter each month, and we're just finishing up with Donald Moss's excellent, The Emotional Craft of Fiction. I'm really excited because he's teaching for me this fall in New Mexico. So this, yeah, I highly recommend this. And I will actually recommend the other book, which is the next one we're going to start, which I don't have handy because I'm not actually psychic. But it's called Beating the Story, and beating with a T, by Robin Laws. And it is about story beats. And I think it is the best explanation of story beats and the most detailed explanation that I have found. So I'm really looking forward to going through that chapter by chapter, because the secret reason I do the craft book discussion is for my own selfish purposes. It's
Absolutely. And everybody watching this, make sure to keep that the secret as well. That's awesome. But thank you for those recommendations. I'm always looking for more craft books, and I think we can all stand to try to read one of those. I try to read one as often as I can.
It's useful. It's
yeah,
useful.
it is, and it's kind of another nice way to read, to turn your brain off from like fiction a little bit and just learn.
Yeah.
And then finally, Kat, maybe you could just let us know what you have going on right now. I know you have a series coming out. I'd love to hear a little about that. And then other learning opportunities people can pursue, because I know you have a lot of those.
Oh, yeah. I have the third book of my space opera is called Rumor Has It, and it is coming out September 24th. So I am super stoked. It is available for pre-order even now. I have a story that I'm finishing up right now, about to turn back to Beneath Ceaseless Skies. So I'm excited about that. And I have a story I just turned around the edits that's coming out in Lightspeed, I think actually possibly next week. I'm not sure about that. And I would like to do another collection. So I've had somebody who talked to me about it, and I need to kind of ping them and say, hey, I'm still interested. Are you still interested? And see about that. And I'm continuing to do classes online, but I'm doing my second live workshop, The Wayward Wormhole. Last year was in a castle in Spain. And this year is at this fabulous ranch in New Mexico. We've got like 400 acres, and it's a dark sky preserve, which means that there's no night light. So the star viewing should be amazing. So that's what I have going on right now.
That's awesome. I was looking at it on your website, and we'll put some links in the comments, but it looks really cool. I love down south too. It's gonna be nice and warm. So yeah, that'll be really amazing.
This is my secret way. I managed to pull this off 3 years running of avoiding Thanksgiving with my family. I just spend the month of November doing something I absolutely enjoy instead. So
hey, I can appreciate that. I think we all can appreciate something like that. Well, awesome, Kat. We cannot wait to learn from you and to meet you and mingle with you at Cascade Writers Workshop. And until then, I guess we'll see you later. Thanks again for taking the time.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm really looking forward to Cascade. See you there.
See you there.